Isn't it about time for somebody's favorite radio program?
This is America's Outdoor Talk program.
Are you ready to get rowdy?
Outdoors This Week with your host, Alex Langer. Alex Langer. We've got fishing.
Believe me, folks, I have been there, and the fishing has been tremendous.
Hiking.
Adios. Have a nice trip.
Camping.
This is a real adventure.
How do you know?
When you're an experienced woodsman like me, you get a feel for these things.
Oh, really?
Heck, we've even got kayaking.
I'm going to show you kids the time of your life.
We've got all the info you need for a safe and fun day in the sun.
It's a darn good thing we found you when we did. There's something horrible roaming these woods.
And you've got Outdoors This Week. Outdoors This Week. And now, here's your host, Alex Langer.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Dogs, cats, sharks, and everybody else that may be listening. Listen, today we have a very, very special show, Lynn. You know why?
Why?
We have the shark whisperer with us today. You've heard of ghost whisperers?
Yeah.
And horse whisperers? And even dog whisperers.
Yep.
But never, ever have you heard of a shark whisperer. Have you, Lynn?
No, that sounds dangerous.
Well, if you listen to him, it's not dangerous at all. In fact, he hugs sharks. He loves them. His name is Mark Davis, and he's got his own show on the Outdoor Channel. It's called Big Water Adventures, and he's with us. He has hunted and fished all over the world. He has caught billfish, tuna, wahoo, dorado, mackerel, shark, grouper, redfish, and several other species. If it flies or swims, he's after it. So Mark will be hot on the trail with you shoulder to shoulder as his first mate. Big Water Adventure is a multi-species travel destination-oriented program with the focus on fast-paced, in-your-face action. And if there's anything I like, it's in-your-face, fast-paced action. Mark Davis travels the Atlantic, the Pacific, the Gulf of Mexico, and way beyond that, in search of the best destination each has to offer. And he's got over 20 years saltwater experience with a U.S. Coast Guard captain master, not just a captain's license. This is a master captain. Once you hear Mark Davis, you'll be very impressed. So inshore, offshore, or way offshore, Big Water Adventures is there with you along for the ride. Then, if that's not enough, then we have all of Lynn's favorite Southern gentlemen. We got Larry Whiteley from Bass Pro, who is happily married and has grandchildren. And then we have Sammy Lee. And then we have Wade Bourne. See, I remember all this time.
You did.
I didn't miss a single one.
No, you didn't.
I'm especially happy about Wade Bourne, because Wade gets cranky when you forget about him. And in fact, that's another story for another day. So, and Ron Linder, he's a northern gentleman, but he's always cranky. But he loves you, Linda.
I love him.
All right, we'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go away.
Hang tight. More of America's Outdoor Talk program, Outdoors This Week, after this.
Hi, folks. Ron Linder here for Optima Batteries, the gold standard in trolling motor power. Got some sad news. One of the legends of our industry, Ray Ostrom, passed away. Who is Ray Ostrom? Well, you'd better remember him as Mr. Rapala Normark. He, along with Ron Weber, brought the Rapala into the United States, along with the Martini knife, the Rapala knife, the Fisker scissors, and a whole bunch of other things. If you fish down south in the Gulf area and you use any of the DOA lures, he used to be a part owner in the DOA lure company, which makes the Terrorizer as well as the DOA line of baits. He also did a thing called the Game Fair, which traveled around the country and did a lot of hunting activities. Ray had another thing. He was, of course, in the Hall of Fame, along with Ron Weber. Among other things, he was Ron and Al Lindner's first true Rapala. He was our first television sponsor in 1970. Ray, who owned a sports store in Minneapolis, they started importing the Rapalas, and the famous story of the Life magazine article, which hit at the time, plummeted them for a few hundred baits that they were importing to Finland to an order of 3 million lures. Came within a very, very short period of time. It is a legend in the business. Well, anyway, Ray at age 85 passed away. He and his wife Norma went up and they lived on a place called Cyclone Island, and they lived on a multi-million-dollar houseboat, an actual houseboat. The real thing. It had you had to see it to believe it. And at other times in winter, he went to Fort Myers, spent time down in Fort Myers, Florida, where I visited and fished with him a couple of different times. He was a true legend and a honor to have in the industry. Ray Ostrom. So at this point, Ray Ostrom, rest in peace. Well, that's it for now from us at Linder's Angling Edge. Until then, see you later, folks.
Fishing for mahi-mahi coming up on Bass Pro Shops Outdoor World.
Would you like to spend less time on the couch and more time in the fresh air? Would you like your kids to stare at a bobber instead of the TV? Would you gladly trade in your microwave for a Dutch oven? Then you belong at Bass Pro Shops. Every week, we offer free skills workshops to help you get started. See the store or go to BassPro.com for more information. Bass Pro Shops. Your adventure starts here.
Mahi-mahi are one of the most colorful marine game fish with iridescent bluish green on the back, golden body, and golden yellow fins with forked tail. Males can exceed 80 pounds with a world record catch at 88 pounds. Mahi-mahi are eating machines. They feed on flying fish, mullet, mackerel, squid, seahorse, crab, shrimp, and other small fish. They're not choosy eaters, and that's why they're fast-growing fish. They're fast swimmers, and that's partly why they're a highly sought-after game fish. The other reason is they're delicious. Fishing techniques for mahi-mahi are mostly trolling or casting. They can be taken on troll lures or natural baits. For trolling, a 6 to 8 foot medium action rod with a matching bait casting reel spooled with 30-pound test monofilament line and a 40 to 50-pound test leader. As for spinning gear, use a 7 foot medium action rod with a matching spinning reel spooled with 30-pound test braided fishing line. Now, until next time, I'm Larry Whiteley, and this is Bass Pro Shops Outdoor World.
Thanks a lot, Larry, for that insightful report. And we have an expert on mahi-mahi, or at least he better be an expert. If he's not, I'm going to report him to the Captain's Commission. First of all, my next guest is Mark Davis. He's the host of Big Water Adventures on the Outdoor Channel. Mark Davis is the consummate outdoorsman. He fished all over the world, and he's had his captain's license before most folks could legally drive. Let me do the math. That's probably 15 plus 20 years that he's been doing this. You're about 35 years old, right, Mark?
Actually, I'm 43, but it's close. I remember you. I got to throw one back at you since you said I've got to be an expert on mahi-mahi. I've caught mahi-mahi on the flying lure. How about that?
You have?
I actually had some in my box. I used to run a head boat out of Charleston, South Carolina, and I had some in my box, and just out of absolute morbid curiosity, I decided I'd throw one out and see if I could get one to eat, and he did. He was a little chicken dolphin, probably, which is a small one, probably about, 5-6 pounds, but he found it irresistible.
It was probably one of the biggest dolphin of your life. Is that correct?
If you want me to say that, I'll absolutely say it was the biggest one I've ever caught.
Where are you out of these days? Are you out of Florida?
No, sir. I'm actually still out of Columbia, South Carolina, but I travel. I mean, the show goes from Alaska to Panama, East Coast, West Coast, Gulf Coast. We try to target 50-plus species a year and 13 episodes. We air first and second quarter, and we pretty much go after everything that swims, everything from redfish to billfish. We'll actually even be up in your neck of the woods this fall up in Montauk doing a surf fishing show for stripers.
I'll tell you a little secret. We actually shot some of the more memorable scenes in the Flying Lure infomercial in Columbia, South Carolina, if you can believe that.
No kidding.
Yeah, we
Must
did.
have been Lake Murray then, huh?
There was a bass tournament somewhere near where you live, and in the early 90s. So let me just put it that way. So,
yes, sir. So yeah, mahi is, y'all were talking about mahi. They're pretty amazing fish. I mean, when you catch a fish that is 10, 12 pounds and he's 6 months old, it's just utterly unbelievable the way they grow. And, people talk about them not being very smart in terms of they'll swim right up to the boat and, you get 10 of them swim up to the boat, you hook one and the other 9 will stay around. You got to think about a lot of times, especially with the fish that are under 20 pounds, that might very well be the first boat they've ever seen. So they've really got no reason to be scared of them. They're incredibly fast growing, very strong fish. They do it all. I mean, they'll jump, they'll dog on you, they'll get turned sideways and use they're somewhat of a slender fish. If you look at them straight on, they've got a wedge-shaped head, and for the most part, they're very hydrodynamic. They've got the beveled fins on the front just like a tuna does, but they've got a much wider gait when they swim. Their tail's got a much wider swagger to it, and they're really easy to spot, even if you can't get a visual on exactly what they are. If you're up in a tower and you see them coming, you see that big, wide swaggering tail and that big gait on them, and usually that's going to be a mahi.
Kind of look like a locomotive, actually. Yes,
sir. And the colors are amazing. I mean, they'll light up and change different colors. They'll go from, a lot of people see them in their golden phase where they've got that real gold color, but one of my favorite phases that they'll light up is almost like an aqua color mixed in with whites and silvers. Very little gold in them at times. They've got the ability to change color, and it's totally contingent on their mood. When you hear about people talking about pelagics lighting up,
right,
it's when they're, they see something they want to eat, or they're excited about something, or they're scared of something. They'll change colors and reflect that in terms of their coloration. It's really neat to see firsthand.
They're almost like a neon billboard in a way. You see them, they just almost can't believe it when you actually see them in the water. What would be the advantage of that?
I mean, in terms of coloring, bright coloring like that in the ocean, there's really there's two things that you are in the ocean. You're either eating or you're getting eaten.
Right.
And, if you look at a fish like a sailfish, now, once again, no, I'm not a biologist, so I'll throw that out there right now. But the times that I've seen them actually light up like that is typically when they're moving in on a bait. And my thought process would be, just like a sailfish, when he wants to turn a bait a different direction, he'll throw that sail up and he'll actually ball the bait up and tighten them up and make them easier for, it scares the bait and it makes them easier for them to come in. What I've seen the mahi do in terms of bait balls or individual baits or what have you, when they light up like that, I think they're very much turning the bait in the direction they want it to go. I mean, I've seen them, intentionally blow a flying fish up into the air so that they can stay with it.
We got to get to a break very, very soon. We'll be back, folks, right after this with Mark Davis. Don't go away.
Hey, what do you think you're doing? Don't change that dial. Alex will be right back with more of Outdoors This Week after these messages.
Papa was a fishing man. Papa was a fishing man. He loved his cars and his steel guitars.
Wow! Woo! Hold on to that, and that's a good one. Since 1984. Tight Lines with Sammy Lee.
He's young, he's rich, and he's a professional bass angler with few rivals. He's Aaron Martins. Hello, this is Sammy Lee. In just a moment, Aaron will continue telling us how fishing the drop shot rig has helped him win over $1 million during the past few years. But first, this message. Need a good idea for supper tonight? Well, I'll spell it out for you. C is for cashew crusted with tomato basil cream. A is for almondine. T is for Thai-styled lettuce wraps. F is for fillets with firecracker sauce. I is for tangy orange sauce. S is for southwestern pan fried. H is for honey barbecued. Put it all together, and it spells catfish. Not just the most versatile fish you can buy, but because it's U.S. farm-raised catfish, it's the cleanest and healthiest fish for your family's meals. Get these recipes and more at uscatfish.com. For the past several days, 2004 Bassmaster Classic runner-up and 2005 BASS Angler of the Year, Aaron Martins, has been sharing how to fish a drop shot rig with us. A rather new technique that's been taking the pro tournament trails by storm. And I might add, a method of catching bass that has helped Aaron win over $1 million during the past 10 years. On yesterday's program, Aaron told us about the different styles of weights that he uses in the drop shot rig, depending on the depth of water that he's fishing. So today, I've asked Aaron to go into more detail on why and when he uses these style of weights to help him catch more bass.
Most of the time I use, I have a kind of rule of thumb, is like a 6-pound line I use anywhere from like a 1/8 ounce weight to 3/16. It depends on current. Like this Wheeler term, I was fishing a lot of current, but I didn't want the weight to hit the bottom too much. I wanted to kind of float, so I used like a 3/16 and an 1/8 ounce, and I wasn't really trying to stay on the bottom too well. But if I wanted to stay on the bottom good, and if I was in a little bit of current, I might use a 1/4, or they make bigger sizes like a 3/8 ounce. On 8 pound, I normally don't. I usually 3/16 and to a 1/4 ounce most of the time because it's a little heavier line. It sinks a little bit slower. The line, it catches the water a little bit. And like on the 10 and 12 pound line, I use like a 1/4 to 3/8 ounce. So I kind of step up on my line sizes.
Aaron Martins will continue telling us how to catch more bass by using the drop shot rig next time. So I hope you'll be here. I'm Sammy Lee, and until next time, tight lines.
Tight Lines, brought to you by UFP, America's leading maker of brake systems for boat trailers. FishMate, the ultimate fishing app for your smartphone. And by U.S. farm-raised catfish, the healthiest fish from pond to plate.
If you like Facebook, you'll love the Sammy Lee page on Facebook. Check out me, Sammy Lee, even more lovable than ever on Facebook.com.
How much more lovable can Sammy Lee get? It's not hardly possible. We have a special guest with us today. You may have seen Mark Davis on the Outdoor Channel hosting his own show called Big Water Adventures. Mark is a consummate outdoorsman, and he's fished all over the world. He's had his captain's license before most folks could legally drive. At least that's what it says right here in his bio. And Mark travels all around the world in search of the best destination each place has to offer. Inshore, offshore, or way offshore, Big Water Adventures is here. Now, Mark, first of all, welcome back. And
Thank you. To make a long story short, sharks have been in bad shape for the last, really 10 years, and they're getting on the forefront of people seeing shark finning, things that are happening to sharks, and there needs to be some awareness about the apex predator in the ocean. And to most people, a shark is a shark is a shark, and it's almost like with a lot of snakes, there's a fear there that really shouldn't, it's misplaced. I mean, ever since I was a kid with Jaws, I've had, up until I got a little older and I started understanding them, you've got to fear sharks. And people get in the water and they think a shark's going to bite them. And the reality of it is if sharks ate people, it'd be suicide to go swimming.
Yep.
So what I decided to do with the format and the platform that I had is, I'm trying to make sharks less ominous to the average person. And, we get into a rut thinking that everybody's got the same consciousness and the same experience, whereas most people inland in the United States have never really seen a shark out of the water. They might have seen them on National Geographic. And obviously, I don't want to hurt the sharks, and I don't want to be part of the problem. But what I got to thinking is that, if I can pick a shark up out of the water and, not hurt it, we don't use any gas. Typically I'm not going to go after big sharks, small to medium sharks, but I'll pick them up out of the water just like any other fish, game fish, and show them to you and release them. It'll kind of get rid of some of the fear that people have of them just, a lot of people think if you're within 10 feet of a shark, he's going to bite you. And, yeah, they can bite you and they do have teeth, and they're actually probably the strongest fish out of the water that you'll ever try to handle, and you don't try to do it unless you know what you're doing. What I just decided to do is I took an easily manageable 80, 90-pound blacktip shark, and I picked it up out of the water. I put it in my lap, and to get people to actually have some awareness about sharks and to care that they're being finned and they're being essentially, they're having their fins cut off and released into the ocean while they're still alive, and obviously all of them die. Right. And that's for primarily an Asian market for shark fin soup and stuff like that. There's no point in that. There's no reason for that. But to get people to actually care about them, you got to put a face on it with an experience. And if somebody sees, what a beautiful animal they are, I mean, they've been perfection since, prehistoric times, and actually gets to, see me holding one, and it's not going crazy trying to bite my leg off and, chewing at the props on the boats and everything that the misconceptions that they might have would suggest, then they start actually looking at it as just another living creature in the ocean that needs to be vigilant and have protection.
There was some awareness of sharks not being deadly killers, even back when we were running the Flying Lure infomercial about 20 years ago. I used to get mail from animal rights people saying, "Don't you dare show that shark." We had 3 seconds of a shark being caught somewhere in the show, and I got hate mail over it. So,
Alex, I do too. Even recently, I mean, people will take a look at that picture and they'll assume that I was trying to kill the shark or I was making fun of sharks or whatever. And at the end of the day, I'm trying to reach. I mean, Outdoor Channel's got 36 million households, and if you watch the clip and you see me and you know me, all my friends call me Shark Lover and Shark Whisperer and all this other stuff. I get a question frequently, what's your favorite fish? And hands down, I answer sharks. And, I haven't killed one in 20 years. There's no reason for me personally to kill one. Now, before I get the sport fishing guys hating me, if you've got a legal shark, legal mako, hey, if it's legal in your state waters and you want to eat a shark, that's on you. I mean, the laws read there. If you don't like the laws, change the laws. I'm a live and let live kind of guy. But me personally, there's a lot of fish like mahi-mahi and a lot of fish in the ocean that you can eat. And I've done everything I can with my platform as is to try to raise the awareness it was a she, so it was a female. I did do that. I made sure that I caught a female. I didn't do it to a male.
Right.
If I'd have had like a G.I. Joe hat or something, I'd have probably used a male. But it's just one of those things, Alex, that, as sport fishermen, we are conservationists, and nobody wants to see. I mean, I want my daughter to be able to see sharks just like I do when she grows up, and to do that, we all try to affect it as best we can in different ways.
Mark, we got to take another quick break, and when we come back, lots more with Mark Davis, the Shark Whisperer. You heard it here first, folks, the Shark Whisperer. When we come back, would you tell us about the Hello Kitty shark? Lynn told me all about that. I haven't seen the clip, and I'd like to find out all about that. So
be glad to.
Had enough of this modern world.
More of America's favorite outdoor talk program, Outdoors This Week, after these messages.
Think I need a little south of the border, a little piece of the past. I'm heading down to Baja. I'm heading down to Baja. Saying adios, vamonos, heading to Baja.
Northern pike are the water wolves of many northern lakes and rivers. These fish are the definition of aggressive. They also grow to huge size, and they put up a tough fight. Find these qualities, and you've got a fishing opportunity that causes many anglers to put pike on their list of favorite species. I'm Wade Bourne, and this is Wired to Fish Radio. Today, Terry Tuma says the best time of the year for some big northerns is coming right up.
Stay tuned for more Wired to Fish Radio.
Hey, hunters, I've been using a product that you need to see. A gun rest so small you keep it in a pocket until needed. When getting ready to shoot, hook it to a tree limb or whatever is available. Why carry a stick? I like this compact concept so much I put a video of it on my website, WadeBourneOutdoors.com, for you to watch. See for yourself why Little Sure Shot has become the #1 selling compact gun rest worldwide. That's WadeBourneOutdoors.com or Google Little Sure Shot gun rests. The marshes and bays of the Gulf Coast are some of the most valuable waterfowl habitat in North America. This area is the wintering ground for as many as 14 million ducks and 2 million geese, making it among Ducks Unlimited's highest priorities. In the past 50 years, coastal marsh has been lost at a peak of about 40 square miles annually. Ducks Unlimited is working to curb the loss of this crucial habitat. Learn more about what you can do to help conserve the Gulf Coastal Marsh. Visit www.ducks.org.
This is Wired to Fish Radio.
Terry Tuma lives in Minnesota, and he's a fishing educator and promoter by profession. Terry gives dozens of fishing seminars each year throughout upper-tier states. Recently, we talked about summertime fishing for northern pike. Terry told me the prime time for some really big fish lies just ahead.
There's a great time to catch these big pike that most people do not pursue, and that's when the water temperatures really warm up into the 80-degree area. This is big pike time in many small bodies of water, many large bodies of water, and it lasts for about 2 weeks. And generally speaking, it's going to be mid-July through mid-August, and it's going to be very dependent, however, on Mother Nature and water temperatures. But this is big fish time coming up into the shallows to feed, shallow flats, for instance. And I classify these pike, we're talking big fish only, and I classify these pike as a total different species, but they're coming from deep water structure locations up into these flats. Generally speaking, if you catch one big pike, you're going to catch another one.
Now, Terry Tuma's favorite presentation for these fish is casting big spinnerbaits on flats where there's some coontail or cabbage growing. Cast into the weeds, then rip the bait free and let it fall. When this happens, he says, sometimes the next thing you feel is a freight train on the end of your line. More tomorrow from Terry Tuma. And that's today's Wired to Fish Radio. I'm Wade Bourne saying thanks for listening. Get outside.
Thanks, Wade. And we have Mark Davis. He is the consummate outdoorsman, and he's fished all over the world. He's had his captain's license before most of you folks were driving legally. I don't really know what that means, but he'll tell us. Mark, welcome back.
I don't know what that means either, Alex. I didn't actually write that. I never was understanding exactly what that meant. But I've had a captain's license for a long time. We'll just leave it at that.
We left people at the edge of the cliff before the break. Tell us about the Hello Kitty shark, if you would.
Well, I'll tell you what, Alex. I mean, that whole idea, for lack of a better way of putting it, was born out of a conservation mindedness I've always had towards sharks. Unfortunately, they're in rapid decline across the world, and it's through finning practices and things of that nature that really have no business in an apex predator like that.
Finning practices, you mean they actually cut the fin off a shark, right?
It's terrible. They're catching them on long lines, they're cutting the fins off, and they're turning the sharks loose to essentially sink to the bottom and drown. And it's more of an Asian thing. In Europe, they're using it for shark fin suits, stuff like that. But, from an angler's perspective and a sportsman's perspective, obviously that's reprehensible. But sharks have got a bigger problem in this country and a lot of other places. Is they've got a real bad reputation. We kind of take it for granted because we live close to the ocean, and we're a little bit more tolerant of the image of a shark because we see them a lot more and we're around them a lot more. But the reality of it is most people, I mean, my show's national, so I've got as many people in Idaho and Minnesota as I've got in, the Northeast coast.
They've never caught a sand shark or any kind of a shark.
Never seen one. And in their mind, jaws and a blacktip are the same thing, and when they try to go swimming on vacation in Tampa, Florida, they're going to get eaten. So, what I decided to do with my platform, which is my show, Big Water Adventures, I personally, hey, if it's a legal mako or a thresher or whatever, and that's something you want to take, there's laws that each state has, and if it's a legal fish, I'm a live and let live guy. But me personally, I've kind of taken up a crusade to try to give sharks a little bit better image. And one of the things that I did on this show, my 4-year-old daughter happened to have a Hello Kitty cowboy hat and scarf on a shoot that we were on St. Simon's Island, Georgia, where we were catching a bunch of, medium, big black tips, but medium-sized sharks. 80 to 100 pounds. And it just came to mind for me to open the show by picking up a, 80, 90 pounder, only had it out of the water 2 or 3 minutes, put a Hello Kitty cowboy hat and scarf on it, and I literally went back to when I was 4 years old and saw Peter Benchley's Jaws at the theater with my parents, and how I had a morbid fear of them until I got to know them because of the image. It's the image that they've been given.
I've got a picture here. You're actually hugging a shark, and he's got a toothy smile. At least I think it's a smile.
It's a toothy smile, and it's actually a she. I wasn't going to, subject a male blacktip to a Hello Kitty hat, so I made sure it was a nice, pretty female, and no gaps, no blood. Picked the shark up out of the water, put it in my lap. Talked about how if sharks had always been portrayed as sitting in someone's lap in a Hello Kitty cowboy hat and scarf, nobody would be afraid of them. The reality is they've got teeth and they can hurt you. And if you're in the wrong place and you hook one and he's thrashing around biting, yeah, they can bite you. But if sharks ate people, it'd be suicide to go swimming. I mean, all you got to do is see one run down, a hammerhead run down a tarpon in the open ocean or a mako run down a tuna. And you'd realize, we're clumsy possums along the beach, and if they wanted to eat us, they'd eat us every time we went in the water.
We're like uncoordinated frogs, and we don't swim very well either.
No, and that's why, I try to use my platform with sharks to show people that, it's just like picking up a mahi-mahi or a cobia or any other fish. I mean, there's a little more skill involved as far as how you can handle them and what you can do with them. But, there's nothing more to fear than, any other species can do to you. There's things any species can do to you. Sharks have just got more formidable hardware, and they're incredibly strong out of the water. But about the only way I can think of to show people that, getting within 10 feet of a shark doesn't automatically send you to the emergency room is to put one in my lap in a Hello Kitty hat.
Have you had success as far as you're concerned with this perspective?
You know what? 95%, well, I say 99% of the people get it. I have kids coming up to me saying they want to be marine biologists and protect sharks. I have adults coming up to me saying, you know what, after seeing that, I realize I have a very unnatural fear of sharks, just like garter snakes in my backyard. You're always going to have the people that, hands off sharks, don't fish for them, don't hook them, don't put them in your lap, don't do anything with them. And that's just part of the perspective that people are going to have, and they're entitled to their own opinion. But, my opinion is if you don't give sharks an image makeover and do it really soon, nobody's going to care about what happens to them when it's all said and done.
You are known as a shark whisperer, and I think it's time for a shark whisperer. We've had ghost whisperers, we got horse whisperers, but we never had a shark whisperer. You're the first. Congratulations.
I appreciate it, and I can tell you, the easiest thing for me to do would be not to mess with them at all, because in making sure that they don't get hurt, typically what I do is I'll hug them against me. Obviously, I'm soft tissue and they're soft tissue,
right?
But their tissue's a little harder than mine, and I'm usually the one that gets, beat up before they get turned loose. Long after they've forgotten about it, I'm still healing.
Hey, ironically, people can see that very episode on the Outdoor Channel this week, correct?
Correct. It's actually going to air very shortly. It's you can always go to outdoorchannel.com to get clips, and I highly recommend, if you want to talk to me personally, I'm on my Facebook fan page every day. It's Big Water Adventures / Mark Davis, and we're constantly giving away all my sponsor swag as well as T-shirts, decals, mugs, all kinds of stuff. Big Water Adventures.
All right, Mark Davis, thank you for joining us, and it's Big Water Adventures. It's on the Outdoor Channel. Check them out on Facebook. Mark, thank you for joining us very, very much.
Thanks for having me, Alex. It's been a blast.
All right, thank you. And thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for listening. We'll be back next time on Outdoors This Week. Bye-bye.
Alex Langert, Outdoors This Week.